everyone.
Hi.
Thank you for your participation in the final event of the US-Russia Virtual Science Challenge for Youth. Since the James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies launched this project last year, all of the participating students worked so hard with guidance from teachers and mentors to study the topic of nuclear spent fuel management, which is very challenging but very important. Today, students will present what they have studied at this virtual science fair using Google Hangout. We have representatives from each team to make introductory statement. Each team submitted final project, your solution to spent fuel management. I really hope that all of you enjoy the project by communicating with your team members in Russia and the United States and studying nuclear energy, spent fuel management, using educational modules developed by CNS experts. I want to express my sincere appreciation to all of you who participated in the project and the CNS project team members and everyone who supported the project in various ways. Special thanks to our subject matter expert, Dr. Ferenc Darnaki-Veres, and Mr. Miles Pomper, social media and digital media strategist, Margarita Zorotova, pedagogical specialist, Lisa Donahoe, and website specialist, Anna-Marie Steiger. We are also deeply thankful to the United States Department of State Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs for selecting our center to conduct this wonderful education program. The main goal of this project is to enhance cross-cultural understanding between U.S. and Russian high school students through collaborative science studies. To accomplish this goal, student participants have been grouped into 5 teams, each of which consists of 4 U.S. students and 4 Russian students, with a teacher and a mentor for each country. And over the past year, each team's students collaboratively worked to complete project assignment. At today's virtual science fair, I hope that all of you enjoy your friends' presentations while learning from each other. So now, we are very happy to introduce the video message from Ambassador Mike McFall, the U.S. ambassador to the Russian Federation. Ambassador McFall kindly sent his video message to the participants. So we will play his video now. Please enjoy.
Good evening, and Dobry Utro. My name is Michael McFall, and I'm the U.S. Ambassador to the Russian Federation. It is my genuine pleasure to send to you my best wishes for what I hope will be a rewarding and exciting final event, culminating the project titled the U.S.-Russia Virtual Science Challenge for Youth. The James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation and the Monterey Institute have brought together a very promising group of students from our 2 countries to conduct this very innovative project. You all are too young, thankfully, to remember how our countries dealt with each other during the Cold War. Mistrust, hostility, confusion, and fear divided our 2 great nations and deprived us of opportunities to work together, learn from each other, and all benefit. The first real change was our joint space missions of the 1970s. Astronauts and cosmonauts both noted that from space, you could see no borders between countries, just one planet, our home. This spirit is what must guide our collaborations in the future. Many of the challenges we face as human species and as a planet are beyond the control of any one country. We must work together to address these issues, and as world powers, Russia and the United States have a special ability and responsibility to lead the world in doing so. The VSC is designed to enhance cross-cultural understanding between U.S. and Russian high school students and encourage collaborative research on major proliferation problems. In addition, the project aims to let people from different countries and backgrounds work together as peers and partners, and to set an example that others from our 2 countries can follow. I've heard that since the project launched 1 year ago, 20 US and Russian students representing 5 high schools in each country have been working very hard with guidance from teachers and mentors using online education materials developed by CNS experts. Student participants were grouped into 5 teams, each of which consisted of both US and Russian students who have collaborated on their project. This virtual science fair is the final event where all teams will come together and present your findings and proposed solutions to the problem. I hope this innovative setting to meet each other virtually will give you an opportunity to deepen your understanding of each other. Over the past year, you've worked together and formed friendships and relationships that we hope will last you a lifetime, and a mindset that we encourage you to share with your friends and family, students, and coworkers. That mindset, that we are all in this together, is one we lack for much of the 20th century, but one that must guide us in the 21st century if we are to succeed in making the world the safe, prosperous, and peaceful global community we all hope for. Thank you for your work, good luck, and congratulations.
So now we would like to move to students' presentation. So each team conducted case studies on an assigned countries. Team 1, Germany. Team 2, the UK and United Kingdom. Team 3, Belgium. Team 4, France. And Team 5, South Korea. So each team is going to make followed by video presentation. And after that, we are also going to broadcast each student's testimonials. Students are going to talk about what's the most challenging part of the project and how they enjoy the project. And a very short question and answer session will follow. Okay, so now we are going to start with team 1. So Eleanor from Orinda Academy. Are you ready to make the introductory statement? Okay.
Okay, my name's Ellie. I'm from Orinda Academy, and me and 3 other students at our school worked on the project. At first, we had a lot of trouble communicating with the Russian students because we had a change in staff. But by the end, we came up with a proposed high-level nuclear waste disposal. And what we discovered while we were doing this project is that the technical problems aren't as severe as the political ones. So we came up with a treaty that could solve these problems. The acronym for the treaty is SNAFU, which stands for Spent Nucleotide and Fuel Union. And what we said is that any nation could be eligible for this if they're willing and can phase out nuclear energy by 2030, and that all nations would have to agree to put everything into one disposal site. And that's one of the big things in our project, is that it'll be in one disposal site that will be we'll be able to, with clay, lock in. So each country will have to contribute money, and the value of each country's contribution will be calculated using a formula that incorporates the nation's GDP and the amount of nuclear waste. Budget decisions and all that will come from the United Nations, and military support must be provided by the nations involved in the treaty in order to ensure safe transportation and disposal. The nuclear waste will be shot using a torpedo-like machinery into the deep ocean sediment. These large torpedo-like machines would be designed as that the region around 165 latitude and 70 longitude would be suitable. This is between the French southern and Atlantic lands and the Antarctic international waters. Although we believe that recovery of the buried waste torpedoes by terrorist organizations would be extremely difficult due to the depth and relatively small size of shielding of the high clay sediment, a small military force will monitor the site for the foreseeable future. This force will be provided by the member nations. The high clay content of sediments will also prevent the leakage of radioactive materials if contaminant failure. We also explored the idea of drilling deep wells in subduction zones in an underwater trench but the only trench where this is viable lies directly off the coast of Peru and Chile, and this is not politically possible. So that's what we came up with, and the biggest issue we discovered was getting enough nations to agree, since so many different countries are at different levels. Germany is already trying to phase out nuclear power because of the incident in Japan, but a lot of other countries wouldn't be willing to, and there would also have to be a change in laws about putting nuclear waste into the ocean. So that is what we did.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you. So now we are going to broadcast Team 1's final project.
The present mini project 2 has been developed by the VSC students, team number 1. It's an interactive map with the nuclear facilities in Germany.
After the Second World War, the Soviet Union became interested in the East Germany uranium occurrences as a source for its nuclear weapons program. They discovered significant resources and started mining in 1946. In 2010, Germany was the 17th in uranium mining.
Germany, until March 2011, obtained 1/4 of its electricity from nuclear energy, using 17 reactors. Many of the units are large, and the last came into commercial operation in 1989. 6 units are boiling water reactors, and 11 are pressurized water reactors. The most significant impact of the Fukushima accident on energy policy has been seen in Germany. Following the disaster, 8 nuclear reactors were phased out in March 2011. On the 6th of June in 2011, the federal government passed legislation to phase out nuclear power completely by 2022. All 5 parties in parliament committed to terminating nuclear power generation in Germany.
The delivery of spent fuel discharged from power reactors for reprocessing abroad has been prohibited since the mid of 2005. The direct disposal of spent fuel became the only back-end option.
Currently, there are 2 operating centralized storage facilities in Germany, in Golleben and Haus. The same project has been used for constructing both repositories with the same capacity. The centralized dry intermediate repository for spent fuel at Golleben site, first licensed in 1983, has a storage capacity of 1,500 tons.
This is Team 1's proposed high-level nuclear waste disposal proposal. The disposal of high-level nuclear waste in deep-sea sediments and/or subduction zones will require international cooperation and the rewriting of the international treaties that prohibit nuclear waste disposal at sea. Therefore, the first step will be to create an international nuclear waste treaty sponsored by the United Nations. We want to call this treaty SNAFU, which will stand for Spent Nucleotide and Fuel Union. Any nation is eligible to join SNAFU if it presents a viable plan to phase out nuclear energy entirely by 2030. All signatory nations will use the disposal sites and will be expected to contribute funds to ensure that the program is effective and safe. The general governance, budget decisions, ongoing research, priorities, member national contributions, and other necessary decisions will be carried out by a secretariat that will be in the United Nations and governed by policies adopted by the member nations. Military support must be provided by the nations involved in order to ensure the safe transportation and disposal of nuclear waste. The nuclear waste will be shot using torpedo-like machinery into deep-sea sediment. These large torpedo-like machines will be designed as long-term containment vessels, possibly using vitrification stabilization methods, and include a powered burrowing mechanism. The design would draw on research currently being conducted for burrowing bombs. Preliminary investigations suggest that region around 165 latitude and 70 longitude would be suitable. This is between French southern and Atlantic lands and Antarctica in international waters. Although we believe recovery of these buried waste torpedoes by terrorist organizations would be extremely difficult due to the depth, relative small size, and shielding of the high clay sediments, a small military force will monitor the site for the foreseeable future. This force will be provided by member nations. The high clay content of sediments will also prevent the leakage of radioactive material if there is contaminant failure. We also explored the idea of deep-sea drilling into subduction zones in underwater trenches. But the trench of a viable depth only lies off the coast of Peru and Chile, and this is not politically plausible. Thank you for listening, and this is the end of Team 1's nuclear waste disposal proposal.
Thank you, Team 1. So we are going to now broadcast Team 1's testimonials for the Russians and American students from Team 1.
Hi, this is the American half of Team 1. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Ellie.
And we're going to tell you what we thought about the project.
So for me, the most important thing I learned was how impossible it is to get rid of nuclear waste and the long journey we have ahead of us.
I thought it was really interesting that nuclear waste is an international problem and that it needs international solutions.
Yeah. And the best part was brainstorming ideas to get rid of nuclear waste and coming up with our plan snafu and how to phase out nuclear energy.
Yeah, I really enjoyed helping create the international treaty because I'm really interested in politics, and so I thought it was really cool to combine science and politics like that.
The hardest part for me was finding information online. When you type in spin to nucleotide, whatever, hardly anything comes up, except for Wikipedia. So that was a bit of a struggle, but we got through it, and I think we found some good information.
And I thought the hardest part was communicating with Russia because of the very large time difference, but we found a way to make it work through email. And so yeah, we thought it was a really fun project, and we had a great time. Thanks, everyone.
Hello, we are participants of the virtual science project for school number 41 in Novorossiysk, Russia. We would like to express our attitude to this enthralling project.
Hello, my name is Kate Mikhalina. When the project Virtual Science was just beginning, we thought it would be boring and uninteresting, but our participation in the project has been very exciting and productive.
My name is Dasha. So, we have learned a lot of new and interesting things about nuclear physics, nuclear applications in industry, agriculture and medicine.
We have got a lot of new information about nuclear power, with theoretical and practical understanding of the subject. Actually, now we are well aware of the problems of security and the management of spent nuclear fuel.
Hello, my name is Kate. While working on this project, we have not only acquired facts, information and skills through experience and education, but also communicated and become more familiar with our Novorossiysk Institute of Engineering Physics, participating in scientific conferences and seminars. Such projects should be carried out more often.
Thank you, Team 1. So now we are going to have a Q&A session. First, I would like to ask students and the teachers who are in the handout to ask any questions. Do you have any questions?
What are the risks of the torpedoes?
The risks of the torpedoes would be that the contamination would fail and there would be nuclear waste all over the ocean, and potentially that could be a problem. And another risk is that they wouldn't be secure enough, and people who wanted to use the nuclear waste to make weapons could get to them, and the military staff there wouldn't be set up enough for them to handle that. Those are the two main problems, and those are the two problems that would have to be dealt with in using the torpedo.
Also, wouldn't that be like it's almost like making like a dirty bomb? Like, you're making like I imagine seeing it like putting spent nuclear fuel in a torpedo and like shooting it to the ground. It's almost like a dirty bomb ready to go.
That's why we have to make sure no one takes it. That's,
fair enough.
You know, that would be a problem.
From Russia, Gregory Luba, sorry, we couldn't hear you, so our subject matter expert, Terence, has a question.
A snafu idea. By the way, it was very creative.
Thank you. I would also like to add that the idea of explosion would be almost no risk because it's going to be being shot into deep sea sediment, so it's contained.
Okay.
I have a question. So there was a time when people had peaceful nuclear explosions that they used for things like mining, but then it became a treaty problem with, how do we know whether it's really a peaceful explosion or a test, something for excavation So how do we know if these deep bore missiles to bury nuclear waste aren't for some other reason?
Well, the UN would head it, and we, the people as members, would know that it wasn't for anything besides keeping it. As how would other countries know? It's like I don't know. It's like how Israel neither confirm or deny that they have weapons. You know, it's never gonna. Honesty is gonna be a problem. I don't know. It's a good question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we are going to have an additional Q&A session. So if you have other questions to Team 1, you can still ask later. But now I'd like to move to Team 2, Santa Catalina, Emma.
Team 1 just said that we're just happy to see the participants.
Great, thank you. Okay, so now are we ready to move to Team 2?
Yep. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so Emma Russell from Santa Catalina is going to make an opening statement.
Yeah, so hi everyone, my name is Emma Russell, as you know. I'm a rep from Team 2, and I go to Santa Catalina School, which is in Monterey, California. Our school was paired with a school from Belarus, Russia. Our case study was the UK, and throughout the past couple months, we've accumulated tons of information just about fissile materials, fission products, spent fuel. We also looked at the nuclear mines and power plants in the UK and what specific ways the plants cope with waste management. And also, as another part of our project, we created a Jeopardy game. And the great thing about that is that the information on there is not only relevant to us, but to all of you guys. So feel free to just check it out and play around with it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Emma. Yeah, I know your team also created the Jeopardy game, so we will post it and everybody is going to enjoy it. So we are going to broadcast your presentation. Okay, enjoy.
Good day, dear viewers. I'm glad to see you and welcome to our show What, Where, When. Today we are going to talk about nuclear technology, and we have invited two teams from the USA
Hi.
and from Russia. Our topic today is spent nuclear fuel in United Kingdom. Let's start the game. Attention, the first question. What percentage of total energy comes from nuclear power? How many nuclear power plants are there in the country?
For the UK, 19% of the total energy comes from its 16 reactors countrywide. In regards to waste, solid low-level wastes are disposed of in the low-level waste repository in Cumbria near Sellafield. All high-level waste is to be stored for 50 years before disposal so that the waste can cool.
Like any country, the UK has a large stockpile of spent nuclear fuel. There are many possible strategies and scenarios from the UK spent fuel stocks. Attention! The second question. What can be done with the spent fuel?
The best strategy is correct spent fuel management, including disposal, storage and reprocessing. There are many different scenarios. One scenario is involve processing the stockpiles into less radioactive waste. The other scenario supposes renovating facilities at Thorpe, the existing nuclear reprocessing and decommissioning site in Sellafield.
Dry cask storage is a method of storing high-level radioactive waste, such as spent nuclear fuel that has already been cooled in the spent fuel pool for at least 1 year. Attention! What can you tell us about the dry cask situation in the UK?
Solid low-level waste are disposed in the low-level waste repository at Drigg in Cumbria, near Sellafield. The government is planning for the GDF to accommodate waste from new build as well as legacy waste, which includes committed waste from existing operational facilities and those undergoing decommissioning. Also, government is planning to open new storages.
The technology of transportation is of great significance as well. Attention! What do you know about the technology of transportation in UK?
In the UK, nuclear spent fuel is transported from nuclear stations to Sellafield by rails or by water. Before transportation, spent fuel is cooled in water pond at the power station site. After that, it's placed in safe containers with a special design that allows to control temperature of spent fuel.
As we know, spent nuclear fuel is not safe. Attention! Question. Are there any risk posed by CNF?
Spent nuclear fuel is not safe. The radiation that comes from spent nuclear fuel causes cells to deform, which causes cancer or in some cases a birth deficiency. It is best used when it is stored in a dry casket because radiation does not come out of it, and also because it is stored and safe, kept away from terrorists who are thinking about harming countries.
Attention! What can you tell us about the UK's nuclear and CNF policy with reality?
In the UK, most of the separated uranium remains in storage, though its conversion and re-enrichment has been demonstrated, along with its reuse in fresh fuel. Some 16,000 tons of separated uranium from Magnox reactors in the UK has been used to make about 1,650 tons of enriched AGR fuel. The main stakeholders are namely the NDA, the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority. UK government policy states that spent fuel management is a matter for the commercial judgment of its owners, subject to meeting the necessary regulatory requirements.
The problem of spent fuel is known, but not everybody knows the solution. Attention! What is the solution of the problem with storing spent fuel?
There have been investigated several long-term waste management options in the UK and other countries. Near-surface disposal at ground level and deep geological disposal.
Hello, we are Russian team. First, it was difficult for us to understand the theme of spent nuclear fuel.
It is a good help for millions of people who are interested in this global problem.
And of course it was difficult to communicate with our American friends because of time differences and language particularities. But we are very glad to take part in this project.
I learned a lot about communication and working together as a team, not only with my classmates here at school, but also with our Russian counterparts. And I learned a lot about technology through this whole experience.
I learned a lot about the importance of using spent nuclear fuel. I learned about all the benefits from it and also the risks, especially with people's health.
For this virtual science project, I learned a lot on the importance of communication and following through, especially with deadlines when it's hard to make deadlines. And I learned a lot about how to research well.
During the whole virtual science process, I definitely learned how to communicate with people and how to communicate effectively with others. I learned more about spent nuclear fuel and the dangers of it, and also like the viable options for storing it, such as vitrification.
Thank you, Team 2, Santa Catalina and the Severskaya Gymnasia from Russia. We want to move on to next Team 3. So Team 3 is Janesville Academy for International Studies in Wisconsin, and the Gymnasia 164 in Zelenogorsk. So first, Alex from Janesville Academy is going to make an introductory statement. So Alex, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I good? Okay. My name is Alexander Thompson. I'm from the Janesville Academy of International Studies. We did Belgium for a case study. We focused on the 7 nuclear power plants in Belgium, how they are, how they operate, and a safe and effective way to deal with said nuclear waste in our country. Our conclusion, though, on this entire project was a deep geological formation based respiratory seem to be a global solution of spent nuclear fuel where the geological structure allows it. Yeah, and yep, that's my introduction.
Really, Team Zelenogorsk.
So Alex actually has said everything. We agree with him entirely that where the structure, the geological structure allows it, it's good to use deep geological formations to store the nuclear waste. Yeah, and that's our idea.
Great, thank you so much. So now we are going to broadcast Team 3's presentation.
Hi, we are the third group for the Virtual Science Challenge, and we are doing our case study on Belgium. And then we're looking at Belgium as a contributor to the solution of the radioactive waste disposal problem. In Belgium right now, the total percentage is about 54%. The number of nuclear power plants in operation are 7 currently, but right now they're actually being phased out. They're hoping to have all of them phased out by 2025. Belgium uses many storage facilities, including storage pools in a bunkered building, dry storage in dual-purpose casks in a light bunkered building, dry storage in canisters located in a bunkered building, or dry storage in vaults. For alternative reprocessing, they dispose of radioactive waste in boom clay layers. And the spent fuel flask meets the requirements from NURAS and ANDRA.
Current countries' security risks. There was one incident where the peace action members trespassed into one of the military bunkers. Belgian Energy is 54% of its electricity, and one company, Electrical, owns about 7 power plants in Belgium. Nuclear power, as said before, is being phased out, and we have a 40-year limit on nuclear power plants. The main stakeholder is Electrical, with a monopoly on nuclear energy. The Belgian government in 2003 banned further nuclear power plants. 58% of Belgians stand with nuclear power, but 62% wants to limit its impact on energy. The government has put a final 40-year restriction on the power plants and leaves a window for a 10 to 20-year extension, but none more than that. There are 4 functioning nuclear reactors in Belgium and 3 research reactors, so SNF pools are almost full, and that's why the government actively is solving the problems connected with the SNF. The main question is to recycle spent fuel or directly landfill. The question hasn't been resolved yet. There's only a moratorium on reprocessing. The main demands by the International Atomic Energy Agency to the country is 1. Waste, SNF, should be put into storage until they will be desired reduction in their activity. 2. Waste should be transported in special airtight containers by specialists. And 3. Waste should be protected when they are transported.
Belgium signed a contract with France, which provides processing of nuclear waste on French enterprises owned by AREVA. After processing, the French side returns the waste to Belgium. Nuclear waste recycled in France is transported to Belgium by rail. Recommended concept is now a direct final disposal in clay geological formations. Temporary storage of waste of low and medium levels of radioactivity produced in the buffer drives in education. Air conditioning is also produced in the territory of education or objects for processing radioactive waste. Short-lived waste of low and intermediate levels sent to the final disposal in near surface points. Waste, very low levels of radioactivity can be reset into the environment. The underground laboratory Hades, high activity disposal and experimental site. Although Hades has been doing research on safe management and treatment of radioactive waste in Belgium since the 1970s, the site of the future disposal facility hasn't been chosen yet. The plans go as far as 2020 and 2050. The underground laboratory Hades has been experimenting with keeping highly radioactive and/or long-lived waste in deep clay formation. The results prove that with the usage of a multi-barrier system to contain and isolate the radioactive waste tested at Hades, releases of radionuclides in the environment are not expected before 5,000 years. Deep geological formations repositories seem to be a global solution of spent nuclear fuel where the geological structure allows it.
Thank you, Team 3. So now we want to hear your testimonials. So let's start with the American students, Team 3's testimonials.
This project gave me a great experience. It was unusual for me to communicate with people from other countries. Also, I really like our work in teams, and the topics of our mini projects were very interesting. Um, Also, I can say that our city is directly connected with nuclear industry. That is why the spent fuel problem is very important for our citizens.
Hi, my name is Nastya. I'm a participant of an international project, Virtual Scientific Challenge, which is connected with the nuclear industry, in particular nuclear spent fuel. I was really delighted with the chance to communicate with American students who are really friendly people. Moreover, I have improved my own knowledge in this area. Of course, there were some difficulties. The main reason was time zone. All in all, it was a wonderful experience for me, and I'm sure that I will participate in such projects in my future. Thank you. Hello, my name is Maria Frolova. This project was very interesting and observing. It included information from different areas that was needed to be collected to the whole picture. In some tasks, we could show our creativity. I met with difficulties such as finding some answer to specific questions about nuclear industry. In some countries are not always available. It was difficult to work with scientific terms because I don't speak English perfectly yet.
Hi, my name is Olga Dobrovolska. It was my first experience when I dealt with the nuclear spent fuel questions. Thanks to this project, I've known something about this field and recognized that international cooperation is the best way to solve any problem.
Okay, thank you very much, Team 3, James, Bill, and Delena Boris.
Hi, I'm Celeste Geller, and I'm part of Team 3 for the Virtual Science Challenge. The first question was, what is the most important thing you learned through this project? And I learned that working with people from other countries can give you different perspectives on issues, and with nuclear non-proliferation, I didn't know that it was such a pressing issue that needed to be put forward so quickly. And I think that going to the conferences, talking with people from Japan and talking with my team from Russia, I didn't know their perspective and how impacting it was on them, basically. Like with Team 3, our partner school from Russia, they live right next to a nuclear power plant, and this issue directly impacts them, and I thought that was very interesting. And I also learned the perspectives from the people and from the delegates in country of Belgium, which was very interesting. The best part of this project was having the video conference with the experts on this issue and how they talked about the global impact of nuclear non-proliferation, as well as some options or perspectives on how to dispose of the waste and why the waste was there in the first place. They were greatly informed on these issues, obviously, because they were experts, and I don't often get the chance to hear from experts who are passionate about this and make this their life work. And I thought that was very interesting to go and talk on a Skype conference, which is also something that was very new for me, from a bunch of people in the world. And it was interesting how a bunch of people from all over the earth can come into basically this one little room to talk about this one very important pressing issue. What was the most challenging issue of this project? I say that the time zones between the United States and Russia was one of the issues. A part of that, it's hard to come up with a mutual time to work together. We'd have to come early and they'd have to go late to talk to each other, and I think that was one of the issues, not something that can be necessarily solved, especially with Skype conferences. Also, the mini projects were enjoyable. They were fun to put together. However, getting the background information and understanding what was happening was part of the difficulties in that. Obviously, I'm not this super sciencey person, so that might have been part of the problem, but I thought that it was hard to understand exactly the physics behind everything. So like the policy proposals I understood, and I understood like why they wanted to do something some way, but I guess it was just the background basically that was a little confusing. So, yep. Thanks.
Thank you, James Bill. So now we would like to take some questions. First, we'd like to take questions from the Hangout participants. Oh, I see now, James students. You have any question on Team 4, La Puente?
Yeah. I would like to know, is Belgium going to be storing their waste in their own country, or will they be exporting it?
They're storing it in their own country, as I know of, but at hold on one second, we have it right here. The Hades. There we go. Yes, they are storing it in their own country.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I had another question. What about like earthquakes or the probability of water seeping through and essentially maybe corroding the cast? Would that be a problem for your proposed solution?
Well, the repositories would have to be built in structurally sound locations where earthquakes or tsunamis, etc., aren't common. An example of a geological repository. There we go. Like the one in Nevada for the United States, though, it's highly controversial. It is a very structurally sound place with very few earthquakes, no chance of tsunamis, because it's in the desert, and other things like that. So what Belgium's looking at is we're doing the same thing. Also, having clay formation around them helps them make them more sound, so that would also help with its structural capabilities.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have another question here. Me? Will the general public of Belgium be accepting of storing nuclear waste in their homeland?
Right now, the Belgians are more in favor of ridding nuclear energy, and they do know that it's their responsibility to deal with their own, just as we know it's our responsibility to deal with our own. So, though they don't necessarily want it in their country, they do accept the fact that it has to, they have to deal with it themselves. So they're more leaning towards in favor of ridding as they're phasing out in 2025. So I believe yes.
Okay. Thank you. I know, Alex, it's almost 11 p.m. your time, so thank you for participating. Yep. And I know you have to go soon, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye. So now we want to move into Team 4. La Puente High School, California, and Jasmine is going to make an introductory statement. Okay, now it's please.
Okay, so our case study was on France and its nuclear facilities. And one important note we would like to state is that France mostly uses nuclear fuel to power its entire country. So it's very important where we would store this spent nuclear fuel. We wanted this project to be very interactive and interesting, so we used Legos and stop motion to represent France and its nuclear facilities. We would also like to state that France uses closed nuclear fuel cycle so that it can be very self-sufficient. One of our solutions that we propose is a borehole solution because it's probably the safest bet we have right now. The only issues with that is that it's very expensive and local acceptance would be hard to achieve. So this would be more of a long-term solution. But in the short term, we came up with reprocessing their fuel, so that's most commonly used. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you. So now we would like to broadcast. Yes, Andrew, I agree. Okay. So we want to broadcast the team 4's presentation.
Bonjour, bienvenue sur le VSC projet de l'équipe 4, installation nucléaire en France.
This is France, and yes, this is considered upside down, but the Earth is round, so what is up and what is down? We thought we'd have some fun with perspective while we were doing this project. Okay, let's start about France. Currently, France produces 78% of its total energy through nuclear power. Because of their wide network of nuclear power plants, France is able to generate so much electricity that it exports a good amount to Europe, netting France 15 billion euros per year. The question is, where does the uranium come from? Up until 2011, France domestically mined its own uranium from the Limousin region of France. Domestic mining made sense since France was intent on maintaining a closed nuclear fuel cycle. However, with most of its uranium depleted, France had to look elsewhere. Much of the uranium comes from the Areva-controlled uranium mining site in the Saskatchewan province of Canada. Areva extracts 4,500 tons of uranium per year and ships it off to France for nuclear enrichment and eventually energy production.
France began its nuclear energy program in 1973. The first of these power plants were the Fessenheim and Bougie power plant. In operation since the 1970s, these two power plants have been cited by domestic anti-nuclear power groups as lacking the safety measures necessary to prevent a Fukushima-style disaster. You'll notice that each tan Lego brick represents 100 megawatts of energy produced. Fessenheim produces 880 megawatts of energy, while Bougie produces 910.
Now, France must use up a lot of nuclear fuel with those 58 nuclear power plants. What does France do with all that spent nuclear fuel? There are generally two options considered by nations with nuclear power plants. The first option is long-term disposal. This requires finding interim and long-term storage for spent nuclear fuel. Long-term storage is necessary because of the staggering amount of years required for the uranium and other nuclear fission products to decay to a safe and stable state. This is not the option that France has currently chosen to undertake. Because spent nuclear fuel still contains 95% of reusable uranium that can be converted to usable physical material, France has decided to reprocess instead. It allows France to reuse the fissile material still viable for nuclear energy, as well as reduce France's need to come up with a long-term solution to its eventual nuclear waste. While reprocessing does reuse significant amounts of the uranium fuel rod, nuclear wastes are still processed in the long term and still need to be disposed of. One site of uranium reprocessing is the Areva NC site. This is in operation since 1976. It engages in all steps of the uranium fuel cycle: conversion, enrichment, reprocessing, recycling, and storage. Currently, 70% of France's electricity is from reprocessed nuclear fuel. In 2006, France passed the Nuclear Materials and Waste Management Program Act. The act is aimed at emphasizing deep geological storage as part of France's solution to spent nuclear fuel. France wants to begin looking for solutions to its nuclear waste problem.
A global solution? Why not return the spent fuel from whence it came, like Canada? Areva, who currently operates the uranium in Canada, could consider deep borehole disposal in the same uranium site to store the spent nuclear fuel permanently.
Another option, why not send the spent nuclear fuel via truck and train to a country that France is currently helping to develop nuclear power? Like China. With some French assistance, China has built 17 light water reactors. It's currently building 28 more and has 58 more planned on the way. It's a deep borehole solution that can benefit both France and China. France helps with funding and research, and China ultimately stores the spent nuclear fuel for a modest fee. What are the potential nuclear safety and security risks? It has an aging nuclear power plant system. On average, the nuclear power plants in France are 26 years old. The cost of maintaining these aging nuclear power plants has cost France 3.7 billion euros. Many question whether this is the best use of France's resources.
Because of these considerable risks, several groups have formed to combat nuclear energy in France. Greenpeace showed how easy it was to cross the airspace of the Bougie nuclear power plant and drop smoke canisters. These could have easily been bombs or an aerial terrorist attack.
We still believe that nuclear power is a viable option for France. However, France does need to consider how it will seriously address the spent nuclear fuel problem. We also recommend that France remedy the safety and security risk at its aging nuclear power plants.
Now, on behalf of the Virtual Science Team for USA and Virtual Science Team for Russia, we thank you for your time and attention.
Great, thank you, the Plenty team. So now we also have friends from Ozyorsk, Lyceum 39. Yeah.
Hello, hello. We're members of the team number 4 for Russia in Abyss. My name is Vera. My name is Katya. We would like to thank the organizers of the project for the opportunity to participate in the virtual science and all the stakeholders, especially the members of our team and the teachers for their help and friendly atmosphere. Participation in this project delivered us great pleasure. Firstly, we had learned and discovered a lot of new, interesting facts. We knew little about the nuclear industry, which plays an important role in our goals, but thanks to participation of our foreign expanders. Secondly, communication with participants from the United States made the project more interesting for us. Third, we liked that the main aim of the project was the work that has simplified our tasks work. Thanks to the project, we have learned a lot of new information, especially about the nuclear industry of the two countries, Russia and France. When we are working with sources of information, we remember the interesting facts and basic knowledge of the nuclear industry and the international relations between countries. To participate in the project, we are not ignorant of the political relations between the countries and of the dangers or benefits of the nuclear industry, but now we are seriously thinking about these issues in our country and the world in general. But within a year, we faced with difficulties. For example, we had to have contact with the United States because of the time difference. Our dream is to give our opinions and ideas not only in the form of videos and presentations, but in the form of debates, conferences, and personal communications. We have been able to open up better in informal settings and to get to know each other. In conclusion, we would like to wish the inspiration, growth, and prosperity of the project.
Thank you, Team Rogers. So now we want to move to a Q&A session. So do you have any questions to Team 4, La Puente and Lyceum 39 from Ojers in Russia?
So, hi Team 4.
Hi.
So I have a question. So, the biggest challenge was transporting materials, and especially with your suggestion going through Europe and so on all the way to China, is, those might not want the nuclear fuel to go through their area. So one of the questions that I have is, how do you think France is going to deal with that? What are they going to give in return to the communities that the spent fuel passes through?
We would sell them electricity so that.
Having trade-offs would, I guess, help both countries.
Okay.
So they would be more accepting because we would be giving them something as a compensation.
Team Ojersk, Sasha, the team, you want to say something about the project?
My name is Anton.
My name is Alan.
We have listened to wonderful reports of previous teams, so probably it would be better for me to point out the most important issues for us. Firstly, the question of nuclear waste disposal and transportation is really a burning issue, and this topic is actual for us for our regional enterprise. So it was easy and interesting for us to deal with it.
Secondly, the very experience of working in one team with American students is new and wonderful. Of course, we had some problems contacting each other, and it could certainly be improved next time. To top off, it was a new and useful experience for us. Thanks to American Team 4 for cooperation.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. When we don't have further questions to Team 4, we would like to move to the last team, Team 5, the team from Hawaii and Sarawak. Okay, so I understand that Carissa, Hawaii team is going to make a introductory statement, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, other VSC people. So yeah, we're Hawaii, the Hawaii part of Team 5. I'm Shade.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Carissa.
So for our final project, we focused on the problems that South Korea faces due to spent nuclear fuel. South Korea relies very heavily on nuclear energy, so we believe that elimination of that power source is not possible. But this dependence also leads to lots of nuclear spent fuel. So as you'll see in the video that we wrote, filmed, acted in, and edited, we believe that South Korea's best option is pyroprocessing, which is a form of reprocessing the spent fuel. Finally, on behalf of Team 5, I'd like to thank everyone involved with the VSC project for this wonderful experience, and we hope you like our video and solution.
Another 700 tons. It keeps piling up every year. Doctor, what should I do?
So what's wrong?
I have to spend $350 million to just buy land for low-level nuclear waste. And I'm going to have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars more for high-level nuclear waste. I don't know what to do.
Is there anything else bothering you?
I can't just store the nuclear waste in my own country because of the high population density. And I can't just reuse and reprocess the nuclear waste because it breaks the US-South Korea nuclear cooperation agreement.
That's quite a problem you have there. You must be getting pretty worried about all the toxic stuff building up in your country. Well, I think you should consider reprocessing, even though you just said you couldn't. Maybe you can work something out because it will get rid of your spent fuel and then you can produce even more energy.
Stop! You can't reprocess. Do you not remember the US-South Korea nuclear cooperation agreement we signed? Come on, man. It's totally not okay. And what if North Korea found out that you were reprocessing? You know, he would be so mad. They would all just be so mad. Because that creates the same plutonium that can be used in nuclear missiles.
Well, why don't we try pyroprocessing instead?
Well, you know, that's just another word for reprocessing. And are you forgetting that treaty we signed? Come on. Just don't worry about it. I got your back. It'll all be good, South Korea, just as long as you do what I say.
Well, if you say so, I guess we don't have to reprocess or pyroprocess any of our spent nuclear fuel.
No, don't listen to him. Pyroprocessing is different and better than regular reprocessing. First of all, it doesn't produce the separated plutonium that is used in weapons, and because it is thermally and radioactively too hot to make the nuclear weapons. If you don't process it at all, you will have to store 100 times more spent fuel.
Wow, that sounds like a really good solution. Are there any other reasons?
Well, the radioactive waste decay will take 1,000 times shorter to decay back to natural uranium.
So if all those things are true, why don't you want us to pyroprocess?
Well, you see, the North Korea over there, it just, well, pyroprocessing and reprocessing are just so, yeah, I don't think there's a very good reason not to.
So I guess we're going to have a lot to renegotiate in the conference in 2014.
Yeah, I guess so. I think that pyroprocessing is a great solution for your spent nuclear fuel problem.
I agree.
And it doesn't create any of those nasty isotopes that can be used to make nuclear missiles.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now, after all of that spent nuclear fuel has been pyroprocessed, we're just left with a lot of uranium that can be used to make more energy in nuclear power plants, and a little bit of nuclear waste that is both radiologically and thermally hot, which prevents nuclear weapons proliferation. And all of that uranium can be used in nuclear plants by turning it into fuel rods, powering South Korea for many years to come.
Doing much better, Doctor.
How did the fire processing go?
It went really well. I turned all of the spent nuclear fuel into new nuclear energy. So now I don't have to worry about buying land for my spent nuclear fuel. I can just reuse it. I turned it into energy again.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you're feeling better. So how's the energy situation?
It's going really well. Now I can use my own nuclear energy to power my country. 60% of my energy is nuclear energy, in fact.
Wow. And what about other sources such as produces carbon emissions?
I use some of that too, but mostly I just depend on myself.
Well, I'm glad.
Me too. I guess you could say power processing was just what the doctor ordered.
Well, I guess the solution to your problem was power processing.
Yeah!
Thank you, Team 5.
Thank you.
So now we would like to broadcast Team 5 Russian students' testimonials from Sarov.
Hello, VSC is a brilliant project which helps students to gain knowledge about nuclear physics and investigate the control of nuclear spent fuel through cross-cultural cooperation among Russian and the US students for more secure and safe
participation in such a project like the Warsaw Science Challenge enabled me to enhance my scientific knowledge and to develop my retrieval skills. I also got a great opportunity to find out about real-world problems and to investigate management of nuclear waste and nuclear.
This project is really interesting. Next year I will graduate from school, so I need to choose my specialization at university. So I think that this project might have an influence on my decision.
While I was taking part in the project, I gained a lot of knowledge in physics. I have discovered things like nuclear fission process, structure of water reactor, and so on. I'd say that it was really fascinating, so I'd like to continue taking part in the project.
Do we have a question? Do you have a questions to Team 5?
Oh, is there any waste produced? Are the dirty bombs any concern?
It's a lot less of a concern because after the power processing, much more of the spent fuel can be put into a bomb. Not a bomb, no, into the reactor, than just trying to store it. So yes, it is a concern, but it is greatly reduced.
I have a small comment. I kind of look at power processing a bit, and one of the big problems with power processing is that even though it sounds like a good solution, it has many good aspects, I suppose, but you still need a geological repository. So even though you have this technological solution that could solve a lot of problems in terms of getting rid of some of the waste, unfortunately, there's the problem that you still need a geological repository. And that's something that, particularly for Korea, is a big challenge to them because they're, so even if they do pyro, they still need to have to solve the problem with the public acceptance of actually building a deep underground geological repository.
Yeah.
Big issue.
Well, from what we understood about it, it reduces the amount that has to be stored, like a lot. So, and Korea they do have, I think, 1 or 2 repositories that they did build.
Yeah.
So,
they're for a different type of waste, and that's the issue. But you're right.
Students from Sarov, you want to say something, Sarov?
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
We are Team 5 from Sarov, and we want to say thank you for this wonderful project. It enabled us to enhance our physics and English skills, and also we got a great opportunity to know about spent fuel management, and nuclear spent fuel. Yes.
Yes, we're really interested in this project and we really like Dr. Ferris's lectures. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, students from Sarof. Thank you. Okay, so we finished all the students' presentations. So, but do we have any other questions? Now it's time to ask any questions to any teams if you have. Let's see, do we have any questions from the viewers? No?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, if you,
You have a question?
We have a question.
Or is it?
Okay.
We were.
Or comment.
When do we think the first borehole is going to be drilled? Because it's only been being researched right now, and it still hasn't happened yet. There's something else.
Is that a question to Team 5?
No.
Oh no, it's in general.
Question to parents.
Like we're asking everybody, when do we think they're going to be used?
I can answer.
What do you guys think?
Does anybody want to answer that? Other than me?
You should answer it. Can you please answer?
Oh, you guys did the research.
What? Would you say in the next 50 years?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, there's lots of research that's being done right now. It's kind of an old thing which is coming back, actually. It used to be sort of a concept, an idea, you know, that you would actually drill 5 kilometers deep. It seemed like a crazy idea and incredibly expensive. But now, because of all the work that's being done in terms of oil exploration and, you know, deep looking at water and so on, all kinds of research is being done, it suddenly starts to look much more feasible. So they're actively really working on this around the world right now. So I would say within the next 10 years, definitely they'll have, you know, have done really solid research. But, you know, in terms of when you actually will have a repository, I think that'll be, you know, 20 years from now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Wait, do you have any more questions? Okay, so now I would like to ask Dr. Ferenc Darnaki-Beres to give an overall assessment of the project.
Okay, first of all, before I start, I just want to say how impressed I am with all the Russian team's English. Right, I'm really impressed. And so I'd like to ask how many of the American teams learned some Russian? They're all muted, right?
No, they're not.
Okay, so first I want to, as Masako did, I want to thank the State Department for allowing this, for funding this great project. Then I want to thank Masako for the leadership and who organized everything and kept us to the deadlines, right, which was a real challenge for, at least for me, was a real challenge. So thank you, Masako. And then I want to thank all of you. Without this, you know, wouldn't be possible. I think, you know, you guys are all separate teams, but I think of you as all one big team, you know, solving this very important problem. And I hope in the future you'll all sort of stay together. I think the Facebook group will stay together. So I hope you guys will still continue to communicate. Then I want to thank the distinguished speakers that we had, which is Dr. Tatsu Suzuki. These are very distinguished people, by the way. Dr. Pavel Pogvik, Dr. Rich Wolfson at Middlebury, Mr. Miles Pomper, and Dr. Tom Isaacs. I was struck by some of your testimonies. You know, the difficulty with language, but you clearly overcame that difficult thing. And I know how hard that is actually. And I was thinking that it's probably the most important challenge that you have when you think about your future. If you think about large projects that you want to, global projects, that you want to conquer, then language and time zones are the most important thing to learn. And you've learned that. And now you can go on not only solving spent nuclear fuel problem, but then also go on to climate change and all the other important issues that we have around the world. The other thing I wanted to mention was I was very impressed with all the ideas, from snafu idea to deep oral disposal, and all the other technical solutions that came, like pyro and so on. There's really no shortage of creativity, and I hope you guys will keep that momentum forward in the future. And I want to say also that, as Tom Isaacs mentioned, and as Ellie said, this is a very, very difficult problem, right? But what Tom mentioned is that if you have a very difficult problem, there will always be jobs in, in that area. So if you're looking for jobs, the spent fuel management is an area that there will always be jobs because there's too many problems. So that's something you can think about in the future. I know I infected one of you guys from Sarov, I think, who's interested in maybe studying this in the future. I think that's a great idea. You know, as I said, this is really such a difficult problem. We need all the help and all the creativity that we can get. But then also, I want to say, if you don't decide to study this in the future, then continue to think about this problem and other global problems, such as climate change. That was also discussed in Rich Wolfson's lecture. I mean, I look back at Rich Wolfson's lecture, which was a little bit off topic to some extent. I thought it was great for laying out, you know, where nuclear energy is, how it fits in with all of this. So I think that, you know, you guys could go back, right, to the links and see that lecture again. And so finally, I want to say thank you to all of you, because it's a real privilege to work with you, and please stay in touch in the future. So I know I have an email address, and I can't respond the same day, but I'll definitely respond to if you have any questions in the future. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much.
So everybody around the world to clap.
Yeah, so now here comes the most exciting but the most difficult time of the conference and the project. We have to make an announcement of the best team. And you know how difficult it is for us, because I really want to emphasize that each one of you deserve the best prize. But we have to choose one. But we have a very good news. So each one of you is going to receive a very, very nice original design t-shirts. Is that Yay! Very nice, and it's kind of a surprise. So we will make an announcement after this conference. But please wait for that wonderful t-shirt. I promise that everybody is going to get a very nice t-shirt.
Okay? They are really nice.
Very nice. Now you feel
Custom
better,
design.
right? So, but before we make a final announcement, I just want to comment. We just want to comment on very briefly each team's presentations. So team one presented the most creative solution. And it was really great that you recognize the importance of policy dimension of the spent fuel management issues. That was great. And the team two used the online communication tools most effectively, and it was really interactive, including both Russians and American students in the same presentation, as if you were in the same classroom virtually. And in the project, we were able to see the very spirit of this project, the collaborative work between the US and American students. And the team three conducted very diligent work, and the final project was very well structured and very well organized. So it was very obvious that you guys studied very hard on the Belgium's nuclear energy policy. So team four, and you guys did really comprehensive research, and the video was very visually effective. So your presentation also showed that you studied the issue very diligently, and you have a great deal of understanding of the topic. And team five, your skit was so creative and so cute and so interesting to see. And at the same time, it was very obvious that you did really good research. Okay, so that's why I really again want to emphasize that all of you should be really, really proud of yourself. Okay, so I also want to say that evaluation was conducted by outside evaluators because we really need to be objective. So we were too much involved in it. So we cannot be an evaluator. So we asked outside evaluators to go through all of your projects. So based on the very objective evaluation, do we have a sound effect? Okay, Google. Hold on, I just want to make this a little bit dramatic. So based on the objective evaluation, the best team project goes to Team 4. Okay, congratulations, and the best team member will receive. No, that goes to you. Because you will receive the iPad mini, so you should be very happy to receive it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And please note that we are going to send more thorough evaluation result to each of you. Okay, and again, thank you so much for all of your hard work. And I really hope that this project enhanced your cross-cultural communication and understanding, and you really enjoy the project. And as Ambassador McFall mentioned, we really hope that your friendship between US and Russian students you formed through this project lasts your lifetime and continues to grow. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.